What's up, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Across the Pond, where two American boys talk about the worldwide world of soccer / football. Yes, a podcast that consists of those two at the same time. I'm the host, Richard Rodillo, joined by the man with the noggin that just talked right now, Jacob Bullard. Like I said, if you haven't been here and you're here for the first time, ladies and gentlemen, this is Across the Pond, where two American boys give you our take on the worldwide world of soccer / football, mostly just the Premier League. Are we doing any games in Europe this week?
Most of the leagues are on winter break, I think.
Okay, so it doesn't even matter. So we're just Premier League.
I can double check that, but I think at least Serie A, Bundesliga, La Liga are all done for now.
Okay. Well, regardless, sorry for not doing this last week. Literally had a New Year's thing and stuff that happened.
It was a combination of us being busy and there being so many games.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. It was 2 weeks of weekday and weekend games.
Yeah.
But we're gonna get through it. We are gonna skip obviously the one that we are weeks ago now. Seems like an eternity ago, honestly. But match day 20 and match day 21 review real quick. In a way, kind of quick. But let us start. Let me open up my ESPN app so I have the scores at least. The first game is going to be Leicester City versus Cardiff City. That took place Saturday, December 29th, which was last year.
So long ago.
Yes, it was.
Took place in 2018.
Cardiff City won 1-0. With Leicester leading in possession with 62%, 38 going to Cardiff, 16 shots and 7 on target for Leicester, 12 shots with 3 on target for Cardiff. Now, Jacob Bullard.
Now, Richard Rodillo.
Why is it so hard for Leicester to break down teams of less quality when they are the attacking side majority of the time?
I think they're starting to fall into the Wolves category, where they might not, even in this situation, they are definitely supposed to be the team with the onus on them to go forward and attack. I mean, they're a solidly mid-table Premier League team against Cardiff, who is not in the relegation zone now, but maybe they're 18th, but has been certainly for a while. They just can't. They don't thrive in that scenario. Is what it seems to be. They really just, I think, they just can't seem to find that final pass.
Yeah.
Whereas when they're playing purely on the counterattack, they won a title basically playing purely on the counterattack. So especially against the other bigger, although it was a down year for a lot of the big teams, but
even against the mid-table teams that were able to, hey, here's possession.
And Jamie Vardy was playing out of his mind.
And Conte too.
Right.
But here's your possession.
That might be part of it too. I think they definitely do not have the protection in midfield that they used to have, and as good as James Maddison, that's his first name, right? James Maddison. Yeah. I had this weird thing. I was like, oh, his name is James Maddison. I don't know how that never clicked for me before.
It's not spelled the same.
But it's 2 Ds. But he is not Riyad Mahrez. I think that's just a reality that we're coming to now. Is that as great of a year that he's had, he's trying to replace someone that he's not. And so that could definitely be a major contributing factor to their inability to break down the lesser teams, is not having someone like Riyad Mahrez, just cut in off, basically Iron Robin style. Every once in a while he gets in behind, but cut in on the right and just hit from the edge of the box and score. They don't have that anymore.
Yeah.
So.
All right, so let's keep moving. We got Brighton versus Everton. Brighton won surprisingly 1-0, possessing the ball 45% of the time to Everton's 55. 11 shots with 3 on target for Brighton, 13 with 4 on goal for Everton. Were Everton not clinical in this game to have gotten at least 1 goal?
Definitely. I mean, with just the ratio with their shots on target. But I mean, they did miss a couple of decent chances in this game, but it really, I don't even know if it came down to clinical. It just seemed like a lot of the majority of their shots were not were not good shots to be taking in the first place. So I think there was definitely a little bit of frustration that kind of creeped into their game. And good for Brighton to get the points here. And Locadia, who's been fairly quiet, I believe, if I remember correctly, he was a January signing last season from PSV.
I think so too.
And so and he is not really. This is probably only his fourth, maybe fifth goal since the move. So good on him for getting back on the score sheet.
Definitely. Let's keep moving. We got Fulham versus Huddersfield Town. A 1-0 victory for Fulham. 43% possession going to Fulham, 57 going to Huddersfield. 14 shots with 5 on target for Fulham. 9 shots with 5 on goal for Huddersfield Town. Did I not write a question for this one? Apparently I did not.
Okay. Well,
but this game did have a little bit of drama to it with Kamara and Mitrovic on the penalty, where Kamara didn't. What would you say?
I'm blanking.
Score.
Oh, okay.
I guess I was trying to come up with a smart word for that, but basically whiffed. Well, I mean, no, it got blocked. And then they were basically bailed out at the very end with Mitrovic pass from Sessegnon to him. Finished a game that would really didn't have many chances or legitimate chances besides the penalty. I guess just kind of was like a stale game. I guess
this felt more like a championship level game.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and obviously it was bottom table teams.
This was literally, or maybe I'm not sure if it was at the time now, but looking at the current table, this was 19th versus 20th.
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah, so and it definitely looked like it.
It was a big win for Fulham.
At least one of those teams is going to be playing in the championship next year. So
probably both.
Yeah.
Let's keep moving.
Yeah.
All right, we got Watford versus Newcastle United, a 1-1 draw. 63% possession going to Watford, 37 going to Newcastle. 12 shots with 5 on goal for Watford, 8 shots with 2 on target for Newcastle. With that said, who can Newcastle bring in the current January window that's going to help them out scoring more goals, helping out Solomon Rondon, helping out Iosi Perez? What's going to need to happen?
I think that what they should be doing is looking at teams who, like a Chelsea, for example, who has 100,000 people that they can loan out. So maybe a Hudson Odoi, or who was the one that I sent you today?
Solanke,
right? That went to Bournemouth. That would have been a good one for them, probably. I think that's probably their best bet if they're not in a position to spend money. I know that we were talking last year, or just a couple weeks back, about the potential of Mike Ashley selling the team before the new year. That was kind of his goal. That did not happen. So I don't know exactly how much money that they're going to have available. I don't think that Mike Ashley is going to want to sink money into it if he's trying to sell the team. So loan moves are definitely going to be their cup of tea. So I would be looking at, as much as it pains me, I would say maybe a Phil Foden, someone that can be creative from midfield for them.
I was going to say someone that's that can create goals for them or be just a menace and then open up space for Rondon and for Perez. I was thinking even Maitland Niles from Arsenal, but he's being used a lot lately, so there's probably that's not going to be
I think
an
the
option.
Arsenal ones are tougher just because Unai Emery has actually been using them. But
Exactly.
because someone like Guendouzi would, I think, be really helpful for them as well. But he's getting too much time.
Way too much
for
time.
Arsenal.
He's like a regular.
Yeah, he's getting too much time for Arsenal. But definitely, Foden was. I know we'll get to the City Liverpool game. Foden wasn't even in the squad for the City Liverpool game. Him and oh crap, I'm blanking on the other guy that's been. Oh, I almost said Manu Garcia.
Zinchenko?
No. Well, no, I don't think. Although Zinchenko is naturally a midfielder, not a left back like he's been used.
But no, I thought you were going to bring up a youngster, but yeah.
I was going to, and I'm totally blanking on his name. I think it's Manu Garcia. Is that what I'm thinking of? I'm not sure. There's two, Foden and one other guy. They're both midfielders. I don't know why I'm blanking on the other guy's name, but that's what I would say in general. Just look at the top 6 for loan moves, because they're probably, or you can look outside. Dortmund would be a hard one, but maybe Juventus.
Newcastle. We have a midfielder for you guys. I don't know if you're interested. He scores a lot of headers. His name's Marwan Fellaini. You can definitely take him off our hands. You don't have to loan him. You just take him.
You can have him. But yeah, obviously they're going to be tight money-wise, so they need to keep that in mind.
Yes. All right, let's keep moving.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we got Tottenham versus Wolves. Wolves won 3-1.
Sweet justice.
With Tottenham leading in possession with 61%, with 39 going to Wolves. 10 shots with 3 on target for Tottenham. 11 with 4 on goal for Wolves. Was it just a bad day for Spurs, or does this kind of result reflect on how like their season's kind of been in a way?
I think I would lean more towards the first part of that this was just a bad performance, because I mean they are fairly comfortably in third, and deservedly so, because they did get a lot of good results while not playing well. I mean, like a lot of we've talked about this a lot before, like a lot of 1-0, 2-1, 2-0 sort of wins against middle to bottom teams, but I think they just couldn't. This game would have been done and buried at 2-0, and I think that they just couldn't put it away, and then they had like a 10-minute period, I guess 15-minute period from the 72nd to the 87th where like they crumbled. Like that first goal went in, and they spent the whole, they spent almost an hour up 1-0, but couldn't get that second goal to put the game away, and then Wolves got back in it, were kind of re-energized by that first goal, and then tore them apart. And like the Wolves deserved to win this game, but I think a second goal at any point in between like the 22nd and 72nd minute, and this game's over. They just couldn't find it on the day. So, but like I said, I do think it's a little bit of justice served, because I thought that Wolves, not only were Wolves hard done by the ref the last time these two teams played, but I think they were the better team and lost that 3-2 game.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to go out to the blowout for match day 20's week. We got the ass whooping, a 5-1 victory between Liverpool and Arsenal. 48% going to Liverpool, 52 going to Arsenal, 15 shots with 10 on target for Liverpool, 8 with 2 on goal for Arsenal. But Jacob, since Arsenal had the early goal, was Liverpool somewhat bailed out by the front four by just creating goals and scoring that many? Because it seems still that Arsenal still offered something. They could not finish off this.
I don't know that I would use the word bailed out. I don't, because like Liverpool deserved to win this game and basically deserved to win it by this scoreline. I mean, I think that like, yeah, they went down 1-0, and for a little while you thought, if Arsenal could keep in the game the way they did in the first 10 minutes, we could have a game on our hands. But it just eventually, the class difference between Liverpool and Arsenal showed. And especially like Liverpool over the last 2-3 weeks has been a much better version of Liverpool than there has been like 2 to 3 months ago. They've made a lot of strides forward. I know early on in the year we were talking about Salah and how he didn't seem to be hitting the same strides, hitting the same level that he was before. But I mean, here he is, like one goal off from the Golden Boot race or whatever. So
yes,
he's come straight back into it. Still not quite like as incredible a year as he had last year, but contributing well. I think now the weak point has again become Firmino. I think it was that last year, but like everyone was just amazed by Salah. He kind of got overlooked. But I think Firmino is actually now the weak point in the front.
Okay.
So, but Liverpool completely deserved to win this game.
Okay. It was just a question.
I know. I'm just saying.
All right, here we go. We got the next game. We got Manchester United versus Bournemouth. It's probably not your next game, but it's on my screen. Is it?
It's not my first.
Okay, it's the last one.
The City game's listed for me, but whatever.
Regardless, Manchester United versus Bournemouth. Manchester United won 4-1. Possessing the ball 65% of the time to Bournemouth 35. 11 shots with 8 on target for Manchester United. 7 shots with 3 on goal for Bournemouth. But Jacob,
what stupid question are you going to ask me right here?
Are you impressed yet?
Yes. I am impressed. But I don't know whether you guys should be proud of what's happening or like not ashamed. Definitely not ashamed. But for me, I don't believe that this wasn't possible before. Like I understand there's been because there's been almost
reset the sentence.
Okay. There's obviously been a change in mentality. Like you talk all the time about like them having freedom to do kind of whatever they want when they're out there on the field. Now under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer versus Mourinho, but at some point as players on the field under Mourinho, like I look at the when you guys were down 2-0 to Newcastle and won that game 3-2, like you scored 3 times in the second half, like that at some point you have to decide as like the group that are on the field, they're like, this is what we need to do to win the game. And so I don't believe, and I'm skeptical of all the things that have happened, all the goal, like Pogba, for example, who scored 3, assisted 3
so far
since the managerial change.
Well, compared to what he's done in the first 12 games, he's already surpassed what he's done in 4 games under Solskjaer.
But to me, that can't be only because of that little tactical switch. Like at some point, the players had to have some responsibility out there on the field and be like, we need a goal right here. We need to play with the freedom that we need to play with to get that goal.
I understand that, but
that's my only problem with it. Like, I don't believe that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is completely responsible for the huge gap. Like, you guys have scored 5-4 in the 3 games, and then 2 against Newcastle. We'll get to that one.
Yeah.
So like, you've scored as many goals here,
almost as much as we done under
as
Mourinho.
you did under the whole season under Mourinho, and you guys had a basically even goal difference under Mourinho, and now your goal difference, you're up like almost to like 15.
We were actually completely even once Solskjaer came in, I think, and then now we're plus whatever.
And like, he's working with the same personnel. You can't tell me that this wasn't at least like somewhere in the middle wasn't at least possible under Mourinho.
Well, I mean, you could still make the same comparison with the guys under Ferguson and the next year under Moyes. It's just a different. I think it's when you have players that can't play in that system, and what I've noticed from just points from watching different things about United, like we didn't have the quality of backline to have run Mourinho's system, and I think now when you look at it, we're mostly top heavy, or going to attacking heavy, in quality, sure. And when you have a system where you're not having to rely on those guys. And I think what we've seen is De Gea having to make less saves, having the back line to have to make serious choice or important choices, and to have to make just crazy tackles or whatever. You know what I mean? So they're not having to look bad a lot more, and then when you're scoring that many goals, you're not having there's
no pressure on the back.
There's no pressure on the back line.
I understand that. Yeah.
And then the way Pogba's been able to move forward, I think when you look at his tracking from under Mourinho and then under Solskjaer, it's like night and day. He's like out on the wing more often. He's up forward. He's heading the ball. He was doing that somewhat under Mourinho, but if anything, like most of those goals that he was doing with the header were coming from set pieces. Not from play.
Not from open play, yeah.
Yeah, from open play. And the way, like I said, like when you see Martial playing on, like swinging out on the right, you see Rashford swinging out on the, there's a lot more flexibility in the attack, and it's making it a lot easier to break down teams. So like, if we would have played our first game against Cardiff with Mourinho, there's no way we would have scored that many goals. No way. We would have scored maybe 1 or 2, and then they probably would have nicked one. Just because we have to rely on scoring one early and then holding the line when we don't have the quality to do that. And then even under the back line, like Victor Lindelof under Mourinho was very shaky. Since Solskjaer's come in, he's been pretty solid for us. There's only been the one instance where he had like one. It was like a jump challenge where he that's where he probably needs to work at the most, but basically he's been a solid center back for us so far, and I think he's probably going to be the guy that we're probably going to pair up with whoever we bring in either now or in the summer. Regardless, I think we've done. I think it's totally been Mourinho the whole time, unfortunately, and I think it got to the point where everyone was drained out of it, and a change needed to be made. So.
Okay. We'll we'll come back around when
Yeah,
we
we're
get to
gonna
the
get back to
Newcastle
match
and the preview and all that.
This is only match day 20, baby. Here we go. All right. Crystal Palace versus Chelsea. Chelsea won 1-0 with possessing the ball 66% of the time to Crystal Palace's 34. 4 shots with 0 on target for Crystal Palace and 12 shots with 4 on goal for Chelsea. Young man.
Young man.
I'm scrolling up to my question. Sorry. Did Crystal Palace actually play, like, even though they didn't have any shots on target, but did they actually play pretty well with the result they had?
I mean, this was a little bit reminiscent of the Liverpool game.
Yeah.
I think. They definitely didn't offer as much going forward as they need to or want to. But it was one of those where just as this game crept on, more just like it was in Liverpool. I think that game went to like the 75th minute or something before Liverpool scored. Mm-hmm. So like it was kind of like that basically, where they were holding on and they seemed comfortable.
Yeah.
And then they lost the goal, and then it was kind of like then their offensive struggles, like you thought like, oh, they're not going to get back into this. So, but it was a decent performance. They were just they were undone by the goal and the lack of creativity going forward in this particular game. They weren't going to recover from that. Mm. So I think in this game it was like the Liverpool game. It was going to be kind of clean sheet or nothing. So
agreed. I mean, even though they somehow showed up against City, but they can't do it against Chelsea.
I guess clean sheet or nothing didn't really make sense. But I mean, like homie, a 0-0 draw or nothing.
Help a bro out over here. We're trying to get top 4. Come on. Let's keep moving.
Yeah.
All right, we got another swooping. We got a 3-1 victory for Manchester City versus Southampton. Southampton possessed the ball 23% of the time to City's dominating 77. 5 shots with 4 on goal for Southampton. 14 shots with 6 on target for City. When I've noticed throughout this year so far, does City kind of make their opposing keepers kind of look good for the amount of saves they have to make during the game?
Look good? I mean,
obviously he gave up 3 goals, but like the performance in the each City game, like there's always for some reason a great save in there, or somewhat of a great save, and then a couple of just, you know what I mean, good decisions that he's made. But like there's so many shots coming at him, like of course he's gonna make a good.
I think
decision.
it kind of just it's kind of like statistically inevitable.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
I just was kind of chuckling. I was like, man, City's making even though they scored 3 goals, but they're kind of making them look good.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, with as many shots on target as City normally have, you're bound to have one really good. Like I think of the 1-1 draw against Wolves where Patricio had 2 ridiculous saves to keep that game level, stuff like that. I mean, in just such a high volume, I think it makes them the good goalkeepers that we play, like the Fabianskis, the Rui Patricio, stuff like that. Yes, they do have. They're good enough for a moment like that, but for everyone else, I think it kind of just pads their stats. Because I mean, people like Bernardo Silva and to some extent Gabriel Jesus when he's played this year, and Raheem Sterling, they put a lot of balls right at the goalkeeper. So they get a save for that, but they didn't have to work. So I feel like a lot of times it's either a tap in or straight at the goalkeeper. I think that's kind of one of our problems, is that we're not actually as good of finishers as we need to be. Mm-hmm. Where if we're in a tight game, we can have problems because if everything's going straight at the goalkeeper, we're creating chances, but the ball is going straight to the goalkeeper.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we haven't scored nearly as many wonder goals. Riyad Mahrez has had a couple. We'll get to Aguero, stuff like that. But for the most part, it's typical Sané squares to somebody or Sterling squares to somebody, and it's a tap-in.
Yeah, the patented goals.
Yeah.
All right, let's keep moving. We got Burnley, or last game of the week. Burnley versus West Ham. Burnley won 2-0 with possessing the ball 43% of the time to West Ham's 57%. 17 shots with 5 on target for Burnley. 11 with 4 on goal for West Ham. Jacob, how good are those long balls?
I mean, this is a really, really, really good 3 points for Burnley. They definitely needed this. This dragged them out of 18th because with the Southampton loss and the Burnley win, that put them up out of the relegation zone.
Also, I mean, there was another interesting thing too. About Hart was taken out for Heaton in this game as well.
Okay,
which is kind of interesting. He made a couple great saves, and then
Heaton's been injured though. That's the whole reason why Hart was playing. Like this whole season. Okay, yeah.
So the difference, I don't know if that's going to make that much of a difference for them.
Pope.
Pope is also with them too, which is like
interesting. They have 3 English goalkeepers, like just chill, all basically at kind of the same level. At least
you would think Pope would go somewhere else, but I don't know why he went there. But
yeah. Oh, why they signed Joe Hart and
didn't play Pope.
Didn't play Pope. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes no sense. All right, match day 21, sir.
Let's do it.
Let's get it. All right, first game of match day 21 from 20. One of the teams played the first match from match day 20 is also playing this game. Leicester City versus Everton. Leicester City won 1-0 with not possessing the ball most of the time with 40%, with Everton possessing 60, 17 shots with 2 on goal for Everton, 8 with 4 on target for Leicester City. Why is Everton so inconsistent, Jacob?
So inconsistent?
Yes.
I think it's just I mean, this shows a little bit of their lack of quality. I mean, they are definitely, when everyone is on their game, they can be a good side. But if they get a couple of people that are not on their game, then it falls apart quickly. I think that's kind of what we saw here. And they don't have necessarily the cover coming off the bench to adjust for that, like outside of their typical starting 11. You asked me the last Everton game, like, were they like wasteful, basically? And that was, I think, 13 shots, 4 on target. Like, when you're getting into the 17 shot range and you only have 2 on target, now you're obviously creating at least a decent amount of chances, but not really testing the goalkeeper. And then the Leicester goal, Jamie Vardy's goal, I think it was like around the 60th. He said 58, I think, somewhere around the 60th minute. That was more, again, to go back to like what you asked for the last Leicester game, like them being able to break teams down. Like, this was more of a typical Leicester goal. Yeah.
All right, let's keep moving. We got a London derby, ladies and gentlemen, that no one knew about. Arsenal versus Fulham. Arsenal all over Fulham's face, 4-1.
Is that a verb?
Yes, it is. Arsenal possessed the ball 60% of the time to Fulham's 40. 16 shots with 9 on goal for Arsenal. 9 with 4 on target for Fulham. Was it good for Arsenal to play Fulham right after the Liverpool result?
Yeah, it's definitely like anyone playing down in the relegation zone. That's going to be a good, you're playing the first place team to like basically the last place team. So that's, whenever you want a response, a bounce back, like that's definitely who you want to be playing. You know, you don't want to be playing like City, United, Chelsea, like right after you lose to Liverpool. So yeah, I mean, this is a game where they're able to, with this, these 3 points and the way they won the game, like just take some pressure off again. Not that anyone really expected them. I think they did have, the first time they played Liverpool, it was a 2-2 draw, I think. But like, not that anyone expected them to beat Liverpool, but now, just kind of like get back on track. I think, was the Liverpool game the one that ended their, no, they lost the streak before then. I think they had like 20 whatever games unbeaten. I think they lost
Bournemouth or something like that.
Maybe, yeah.
Or Burnley.
I think one thing is that Xhaka playing in, is he still playing back in the back line? Oh, he was in the midfield for this game. I think that Unai Emery has actually made decent use of him, or is like just figured out the sort of system that he needs to make use of Granit Xhaka, because he's been bad in the like Wenger and early Emery systems. I think he's just not been the right player for that, but the tweaks that they've made, I think he's becoming a useful player, serviceable player for them. And another thing is just they seem to get goals from everywhere. More so, I guess I would have to look at some stats, but it feels like honestly more so than any other team.
Oh, variety is what you're saying?
Yeah, like the number of like they don't have Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang has a lot of goals this year. He's up there for like Golden Boot, but
he's top 3 for sure.
But they have, but short of that, they have a lot of goals from not a lot of goals. They have like a few goals from a lot of people.
Yeah, like Ramsey will get a couple in there.
Right.
Maddington Niles showed up. Awobi, Mkhitaryan, who I think is injured right now. Lacazette, when he comes off the bench, it seems like he's just somehow scores. I don't know if Xhaka scored this year, but he probably has. Guendouzi.
He scored in this game.
I don't remember if Guendouzi scoring at all this year, but he probably
Maybe
has.
Not.
But yeah, I can agree with that.
Just seems
Probably
like they get goals
Bellerin.
from everywhere, just the way that they play.
I would say City probably has the most variety, it seems like. But you see a lot of them coming from Aguero, coming from Sterling.
Yeah, I think that like Sane, Sterling, and Aguero.
Bernardo Silva, David Silva, Kevin De Bruyne probably had a couple in the beginning of the year.
Maybe
Fernandinho, Gundogan. I'm making you second think right now.
Not really. I still think it still feels like they just get more.
Maybe because they don't score as much, and then you're like, oh wow, he scored this week. That's good for him.
I guess maybe that's true. Maybe that's true.
All right, you ready for next one? All right, we got Tottenham versus Cardiff City. Tottenham won 3-0, possessing the ball 73% of the time to unfortunate 27 for Cardiff. 13 shots with 4 on target for Tottenham, 5 with 3 on goal for Cardiff City. Now, Jacob, all the goals came real early in this game, but after all those goals, did Cardiff actually kind of play good? You know, kind of played well? They didn't let any more in. I mean,
they didn't let any more in. I think, well, I'm going to go with no. I think it was just that, like, at 3-0, Spurs were just, like, done. It's like, we did what we need to do.
Yeah.
Like, we're up 3-0. Cardiff are not going to, like, cause us great problems. You know, if they had nicked one, I don't think anything would have changed. Like, I don't think that, like, that would have got them back into the game or, like, it would have given them hope, I guess. But, you know, being 3-0 up, you know, halfway through the first half, like, you're just like, all right, well, GG. No re.
Thanks for playing.
See you next time. Thank you for the 3 points coming in.
All right, let's keep moving.
Yeah.
All right, we got West Ham versus Brighton, a 2-2 draw with West Ham dominating in possession with a 54% going, and then 46 going to Brighton.
Is that dominating in possession? 54%?
Well, it's more than 46, right?
Okay.
13 shots with 6 on goal for West Ham, but also Brighton got 13 shots with 6 on goal for them, and it's kind of funny how that turned into a draw. Pretty even matchup, obviously, but almost kind of what we've seen earlier in the year, I guess, how West Ham has played teams like this and not have been able to kind of put the nail in the coffin. But obviously they came back with Alkovic coming back from injury. Yeah, I wrote a question and it doesn't apply to this apparently.
Okay.
Sorry.
Well, what I'll say is that if I was Brighton, I would be particularly disappointed. If I was Brighton, I would have. If you'd have told me before the game that you'd get a 2-2 draw, you'd probably take it. You'd be like, cool, we don't even need to play this game. We'll take our 1 point and move on. Especially the way that West Ham have been playing. I guess West Ham are coming off the 2-0 loss to Burnley that we talked about, but in general, West Ham have been playing a lot better over the last like 4 to 6 weeks than they were earlier in the year. So if I was Brighton, I would be disappointed to let a 2-goal lead slip like that, like on 2 minutes, have it be go from 2-0 to 2-2. That's something that like at this level can't happen. You can't allow that to happen. They always say that 2-0 is the most dangerous lead in soccer, just because like you're on that like tipping point where it's like you're relaxed because you think the game's over, but like 1 goal and they're right back in it, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I think that rang true in this game. Brighton did well to get their 2 goals, but just I think maybe got a little bit too comfortable after that, and then it took just like them going to sleep. And did Arnautovic actually start in this game, or did he come off the bench? He did start in this game. So yeah, then it just took like 2 moments of brilliance from West Ham's best striker, and boom, there it goes.
Yep. All right, here we go. We got Burnley versus Huddersfield Town. Burnley won 2-0 with also 2 red cards in this game.
Dang.
Burnley won possession with 57% to Huddersfield 43. 16 shots with 8 on goal for Burnley. 9 shots with 2 on goal for Huddersfield Town. Jacob, who out of these 2 are going to go down to the championship?
Of the 2, I want Burnley to go down.
Wow.
But I think Huddersfield is going to be the one that goes down.
Okay.
I want Burnley to go down because like they play like Mourinho's United, except they don't have any good players.
What about Pokes and Barnes, dude? Goddamn, Robbie Brady. God.
I will rephrase that. Or not
Karkowski?
rephrase. I will double.
Keaton?
I will double down and say that they.
Super Joy Hart?
I know they have Super Joy Hart, but there's the reason why he's playing for Burnley right now. They just don't play. Huddersfield try. They're not any good at it, but they try to play at least somewhat attractive style.
Okay.
Burnley just lump the ball down the field, and every once in a while they win a header in the box or win a second ball, and they score. And like that's what with their personnel, that's what they need to do to win. So I mean, like, fair play to them, and it looks like it might keep them up this year.
Okay.
But like I think, and offensively, even though they've won, they scored 2 in the last 2 games, 2 each in the last 2 games. The stats and the expected goals and all that from that I've somewhat absorbed are not in Burnley's favor. Like, Burnley are overperforming.
Yeah.
So even as they're like, I think 16th or 17th, like right above relegation zone, but like they're actually overperforming. So I think Huddersfield are going to end up going down over Burnley, but if given the choice between the 2, but I want it to be Burnley. Sorry, Burnley.
I got a second question. Because the last 2 games, there's been a 19-year-old youngster, Dwight McNeil. Is he going to be important for Burnley? Because he seems like he was actually creating chances through not the Burnley way of the long ball, and actually was making runs.
He will be important for Burnley if Burnley stay. If Burnley leave, he is the type of person that will be like picked by either.
Well, he just made his debut the game before this one.
Okay, so maybe he would go down with them and stay for a season. People to get like see what if they were to go down, maybe he would stay just to give other teams a chance to look and see how he performs over maybe the course of a full season. And going down would realistically probably help him getting better playing time. But it's also possible if he has a good season for the rest of the year, that like whoever comes up from the championship, it's looking like, I think like I know Leeds and Derby up there again, and a couple other, I think maybe Nottingham Forest are up there as well. Middlesbrough, yeah.
Nottingham Forest, they come back to the Premier League. That's a good show.
I think they're up towards the playoffs.
Sure.
And I don't know. I'm not sure. I haven't looked at the championship standings in a while. In any case, it's like if he has a good rest of the season, I think he's a candidate for like a Middlesbrough who are coming up. Someone that they would purchase.
I don't think Nottingham Forest hasn't been against since like Roy Keane's played for him. That was like,
they got that star over there.
I wasn't even born.
They got that star over there, or 2 stars, right? They won back to back.
Yeah, back in like the 70s.
Yeah,
or early 80s. Maybe.
How crazy is that? Yeah.
Anyways, let's keep moving. We got Wolves versus Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace surprisingly won 2-0. Wolves possessed the ball 52% of the time to Crystal Palace's 48. 9 shots with 1 on goal for Wolves. 17 with 4 on target for Crystal Palace. Has Roy Hodgson done a good job so far with Palace?
A good job?
Yeah.
I mean, they're safe. Probably, I'm barring disaster, safe.
Yeah, because like that was like one of the things in the beginning of the year where we're like, they have a good chance of going down.
Yeah. I mean, he does, as far as bottom teams are concerned, I mean, he does have a pretty big piece to lean on in Wilfred Zaha. Not that he scored in this game in particular, but I mean, I guess. I think that you're right. A lot of people did expect Crystal Palace to go down. So in that sense, then yeah, I guess he's performing well He's exceeding most people's expectations, if that's like doing well, if that's what you're going to count as doing well. Are they a good side? No. But I mean, they might not have the personnel to be a good side, so I don't know that I can really place that on Roy Hodgson.
Okay.
I think that in this game in particular, this was probably Wolves' worst performance. I think maybe this is the first time for a lot of these teams where like they've played multiple games in a short period of time. Because like, you know, all the bigger teams have had midweek, you know, Champions League and stuff, so they've had more midweek games than the middle to bottom tier teams, and so maybe that's kind of catching up with Wolves, because they are one of those teams that kind of plays the same lineup week after week, so maybe that's kind of catching up with them a little bit. But this game kind of just got to the point where Crystal Palace is like, oh, we're not 2-0 down. I guess we'll go win this game. All right, let's go. Come on, guys. Because, I mean, only one shot on target from Wolves. I don't think anyone would have expected that.
Yeah.
Was this a home game for Wolves? I think it was.
Well, I think Sacco has just come back recently from injury as well.
Yeah, this was a home game for Wolves, too. I would have never expected only one shot on target from Wolves at home to a like near bottom of the table team. Okay.
Ready?
I'm ready.
All right, we got Chelsea versus Southampton in a 0-0 draw. 72% possession going to Chelsea, 28 going to Southampton, 17 shots with 6 on target for Chelsea, 6 shots with 2 on goal for Southampton. Angus Gunn, man of the match, sir?
Probably, yeah. Manchester City youth product.
It's also hard to break down a team that has a formation of a 5-4-1.
5-4-1. Just build 2 walls in front of the goal. Yeah, he did have a few nice saves. However, I think that this game like put the final nail in the Alvaro Morata coffin. I don't know really what his deal is, because he is not even, you know, the phrase is normally like he's a shadow of his former self or whatever. Like he's his shadow's shadow. Like, I don't know what has happened. He is not at all the player that we saw at Real Madrid, and not at all the player that we saw at Juventus for those couple of years that he was there. I don't know what the deal is, but it's not working.
This game, like, they were forced to they weren't really able to be too creative just the way Southampton set up. And kind of forced to have like those long balls that for some reason no one could really pit away for them.
Yeah, but
he had a clear chance for sure in this game where I think he went either over or wide on a header.
I guess I'm not sure why. Maybe Giroud's hurt. Maybe that's why he wasn't even on the bench. But like Giroud is someone like he's born to do that. Like well, that's literally besides that one time that he scored that back heel flick or whatever for Arsenal. Like 80% of the rest of his goals are like 80 to 90th minute. At least it feels that way. Yeah. 80 to 90th minute headers in the box. Like so, maybe they were missing Giroud in this particular game for this particular matchup. But it's a good point for Southampton, a team that sitting at I think 18th now, needs all the points they can get. So I mean, good on them. They did what they kind of needed to do, and had a little bit of luck on their side, and yeah, got the point.
All right, we got 2 more games. We got Newcastle United versus Manchester United. Manchester United won 2-0 with possessing the ball 65% of the time to Newcastle's 35. 16 shots with 7 on goal for Manchester United, 14 with 3 on target for Newcastle.
What stupid question are you going to ask her this time?
Well, you were going to say something about the Newcastle game, actually. That's what I was like been waiting for. You said you were going to say something.
Well, I just in general, like, so since the manager change, you guys have won 4 games, scored 16, 5-4-4, no, 5-4-3-2, I guess. So however many that is. Quick maths. I think that this was the perfect time, and maybe this is what the board saw, like looking at the schedule. This was a perfect time to switch managers because you played Bournemouth. It was in 7th at the time that you played them. So that was a somewhat of a big game against a team that's at least been performing well. But the other 3 are basically like relegation candidates that you came up against. So like obviously these are games that United struggled with under Mourinho, but these are also games that none of the other top teams that you guys are chasing drop points in these fixtures. So like the Newcastle game excluded, I guess, but like the Huddersfield, Cardiff, Fulham,
Bournemouth.
We
played Fulham right before.
Like no one else.
Liverpool.
Like Chelsea, Arsenal, Liverpool, City. None of them have dropped points against those three teams. So like, you didn't really gain any ground.
We kind of did.
But like, you didn't win any games that other teams haven't already won.
Yeah, but we are now 3 points away from Arsenal and 5, I believe, from Chelsea.
Right, but I mean that's because Arsenal played Liverpool.
Yeah.
I guess Chelsea didn't. Chelsea beat us.
When did I say we were going to catch them? When we were at Carl's Juniors?
I don't remember.
I said late February we're going to catch them.
Okay.
Christmas might come early, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, but you guys eventually you guys will have to play someone and we'll know for sure. Like,
yeah, we're playing Spurs, I think, this weekend.
So we'll know, like, we'll have a better
Yeah,
idea.
we're playing Spurs this weekend.
This is actually probably a good time to play Spurs. We'll get to that, but yeah, you sip your coffee. I was very prepared, as I said before we started recording, to make fun of United when this game was still 0-0. I was like, here we go. They're back. They're back. United's back, everyone. Back to being mediocre, but it didn't work out that way. I think that the number of shots that you gave up to Newcastle is indicative of your need to improve the defense. And I think you guys need to replace Lukaku.
Oh, yeah, definitely. He's useless.
I think this is the only time he scored since the change, I think.
I think he came off the bench another game and scored 2, I believe.
Okay. And you guys are going to have some Champions League games coming against PSG too, so those might throw a wrench in, especially if you're chasing Chelsea for 4th, with them being
Chelsea or Arsenal, depends.
Yeah, sure. But if Chelsea can keep themselves ahead of Arsenal, then like them being in the Europa League and you guys being in the Champions League could be a problem.
Even if what's the table look like? What the worst? Give me a sec.
1,000.
That was enough. So
I hate the new table that they put in. You have to scroll to the side to see the points.
I'm not saying we're gonna catch Spurs, but if we beat Spurs,
okay then.
I'm not saying we're gonna complete the bit. If we win this weekend, we'll be less than 10. We'll be I can't do math. 7 points away from them.
From Spurs?
Yeah.
Well, I don't really care if you beat Spurs. I care if you beat Liverpool. So do your job. Beat Liverpool.
Well, we got one more game, ladies and gentlemen. That was the slobber knocker.
What?
Slobber knocker. That's a WWE commentary reference. Sorry.
Okay.
Manchester City versus Liverpool. Manchester City won 2-1 with an even possession, 50-50. 9 shots with 4 on target for Manchester City. 7 with 5 on goal for Liverpool. Before like this game started, like it had like the same feeling of like City Chelsea, like when Andre Schürrle was there and he scored that goal. You remember that? More than a couple years ago now.
I remember the one that we lost at the last minute because Joe Hart missed the ball and Fernando Torres had a tap in. It was like a botched back pass and Torres had a tap in. Do you remember that?
Well, it had like the similar feeling of like two big teams playing each other, and it was good. I think it was bigger than the first game too. Actually, it felt like, because obviously like the narrative was moving along.
I don't know. I don't necessarily know that it was. Well,
I'm not saying bigger. I'm just saying I say more eyes, more attention.
I'll say that it was a bigger game because the first one didn't come with a 7-point gap.
Yeah.
That's what made this game bigger. Like this game was the season for City, because I think like I don't really, barring disaster, like we're not going to fall out of the top 4, but 10 points from Liverpool, like that's a big hill to climb. And Liverpool have already played us twice now and Arsenal twice. So like they have Chelsea, one game against Chelsea, one game against United, one game against Spurs. Like they don't have any more against like big teams.
Yeah.
And 2 of those are at home.
For some reason they drop against a smaller team, but I think they know what they're going to be doing against those teams.
Right.
And it also depends on their Champions League, how far they get through.
That's true. That's true as well. I think that this was one of the best games, just like trying to be neutral for a moment. Like this game was one of the best games I've watched in a while. It was the entire time on like a knife's edge. there were like the first 10 minutes were like basically City. We were pressing really well. We were keeping Liverpool back, and then like it shifted, and like it just kept like shifting back and forth. There was like no team that dominated this game for more than like 5 to 10 minutes at a time. And then it was really like just the 3 goals were 3 moments of brilliance. Like Aguero cutting in front of Dejan Lovren. That's one thing I think, like Liverpool, if Liverpool replaced Lovren with anyone, Liverpool are going to be truly dangerous. Because Lovren is the whole.
If they can get Naby Keita into that midfield and figure him out in there, I think.
I don't know what that deal is.
I don't know what
like,
it is
why
either.
He's not been like he's $50 million like.
And then Fabinho's been a sub basically for them.
Yeah.
When I saw the midfield, when it was James Milner, Jordan Henderson, and Wijnaldum, I was like, okay, Wijnaldum makes sense, but like Henderson and Milner, like hey Klopp, who's paying you over here, bro?
I think this game was the culminant. I think for us to have this game, we almost needed Liverpool to beat City the way they have for the last like 3 or 4. I think it's like Pep finally learned a way that we can play them. I think that's what we saw in this game. And then, like I said, just a few, like that Aguero goal. You texted or you messaged me on Twitter, I think it was, and you were like, only Aguero.
Yeah, dude.
It's like, yeah, he like nicked in front of him, got that little bounce, and then just a rocket
like
right
in the
top.
Premier League in general, he's the only person that does that consistently off of like a cross, and he's just like, yeah, fuck it.
Yeah.
Hits in the corner. Like, God damn, dude.
And it came, like, Lovren had no clue that was... If you see if you take like a still photo of where Aguero was when Bernardo Silva hits that ball to pass it, you're like, but you would think like, oh, Lovren's just gonna take a step forward, clear the ball, done.
Yeah.
And like he touch. Like nicked in front of him, got like that nice little hop, and then just blasted it in the top. It was like a great, like out of nothing, like goal. The second one, Danilo, I think it was Danilo that got beat, like caught a little bit too far forward, and like a great ball in from, I think it was Trent Alexander-Arnold that hit that big cross into Robertson. That happened. That was something that was working well for Liverpool all night. Was Robertson to Arnold and back. Like the switches across the field were really effective for them. And then like that touch, that Robertson's little flick, like Company switched off, and then the header from Firmino for the tap in, like that was a great like team goal. And then that finish from Sané on the second goal for City, like, whew.
Yeah, and I think he had another one like that earlier in the game too, but it just went wide, I think, right?
Yeah.
And then the crazy...
And we couldn't put the game away. It got really nervy at the end.
And Salah...
Oh, yeah, the clearance.
Earlier was like crazy off like a millimeter. You said it was like a millimeter or something?
It was 1.1 centimeters from being a goal. And so, yeah, like Mane was just this close to... And if you watch that goal or like that miss over again... Stones nutmegged, like Salah was like right behind Stones waiting for the clearance, and he nutmegged Mo Salah with the clearance. Like he mishit the ball, but it nutmegged Salah so they couldn't score.
Yeah.
It was like just, I mean, as close as you can get to scoring and not. So like that was pretty crazy.
Yeah, it seems like how like that should have went in, but it didn't.
Yeah,
it was like weird.
Yeah. Well, I guess in fairness, that situation should have like. Either Stone should have just allowed Ederson to pick that ball up, or Ederson needed to get out of the way.
Yeah.
Because, like, I don't know what was going on there for a second, but, like, he kicked it straight into Ederson's face.
Well,
this game was so much fun to watch. As nerve-wracking as it was for me, like, being actually invested in the outcome, it was a great game.
Definitely was. Well, that has been our match review for match day 20 and 21. If you don't know, now you know that Burnley continues to lead the league since day one in the long balls with 1,575. Just wanted to throw that out there.
I still want to look up like what the technical, like how far do you have to hit the ball?
Yeah, we should probably do that.
I want to know what the technical definition is.
But we shall do our preview and prediction for match day 22. Are you ready?
Yep.
We got West Ham versus Arsenal, 5 versus 10 at London Stadium. Jacob Bullard, who you got?
West Ham coming off of 2 games back-to-back where they've dropped points to lesser opposition in Burnley and Brighton. So I think I'm going to give the edge to Arsenal here, even though West Ham are the home team. It is obviously a derby, a London derby. But I think Arsenal are going to be just a little bit too dangerous for West Ham, at least in their current form.
Who's the Italian? It's Ogbonna, right? I saw him play the last game. I was like, where did this guy come from, bro? I forgot you guys had him.
They got him from Juventus.
But like, it's obviously their starting two has been Valbuena and someone else. They obviously he hasn't been playing, so it's just like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, Ziop, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Diop. Same thing. Let's keep moving.
Did you give me a pick there?
I picked Arsenal, sorry.
You picked Arsenal.
I'm going Arsenal because they played great last week and they totally forgot about Liverpool. Let's keep moving.
Yeah.
Brighton versus Liverpool. We got 1 versus 13 at the MX Stadium. Jacob, how bad is Liverpool going to spank on Brighton? I think they're going to take a lot of anger out.
Probably pretty bad. Their season basically could have been over for the most part if they beat City this past week. For sure. Yeah, because I think 10 points would have been a bridge too far. And now like all these games count again. So I think that
don't drop points.
Yeah, I think that it's going to add a little bit of pressure. And I think there was a lot of interesting things like in the commentary in that City Liverpool game about how like will the pressure once they're like back at Anfield as we get like close to the end of the season, like the pressure of like that entire fan base wanting a title so bad.
It's been
like if that's going to get to if like that's going to get to them down the stretch.
1990.
But I don't think they'll have any problems with Brighton. I think that they'll probably have a comfortable win, like 3-4-0 probably.
Yes, I do agree with you, and the One Football app agrees with both of us. 89 going to Liverpool, 2 to a draw, 9 to Brighton. Sorry, I didn't say the last one. I didn't say the percentage, but we're going to skip it. Who cares? It's Arsenal and West Ham. Next, we're going to go to Turf Moor, where 16 plays 19. Burnley versus Fulham. We got bottom feeders going at it. Who you got, Jacob?
I think I'm actually going to go with Burnley in this game, just because they have found some goals in the last, 4 in their last 2. Fulham just can't seem to get it together at all this year. They did have, I think, a big 1-0 game the last episode we recorded that they won, but and they beat. Wait, who's at the bottom right now? Oh, they beat Huddersfield 1-0, I think.
Yeah. So,
but Burnley have been scoring a little bit more than normal. So maybe I think that trend might continue for them against a team even lower than them in the table.
I think this is going to be a draw for me. I think Ranieri is going to kind of play it smart, but it's not going to pay off.
Not Burnley versus Burnley. Burnley versus Fulham. Okay.
44 going. Actually, this is even. I think this is the first even one in the predictions.
44-44?
44-44 for Burnley and Fulham. 12 going to a draw. Let's keep moving. We got 17 versus 20, another bottom feeder game. Cardiff City Stadium, where Cardiff City takes on Huddersfield Town. Who you got?
I think that I am going to go with a draw. Huddersfield coming off the loss to Burnley last week, and the loss to Fulham the week before. So I think they're probably due to bounce back a little bit, especially again against like a team of very similar ilk. But I think they're going to get just the 1 point. I'm going to go for a draw.
Okay. I'm going to go with Huddersfield Town. I think they really need to win this game. So, balls to the wall for them. And I think, they'll get the result. Because they really need the points in this game.
5 consecutive losses, actually. I can see that now, like on the trending thing.
So, Cardiff leads with 56%, 14 going to a draw. Huddersfield with 30.
So, they're due. 5 straight losses.
Even though they've lost Aaron Moy, I think this past week to injury.
Okay.
So, but still, they really need to win that game. Next, we got Crystal Palace versus Watford at Selhurst Park. 8 versus 14. Who you got?
I think that I'm going to go with Watford. Palace, I think, were a little bit lucky just in that Wolves didn't have it together last week for that 2-1 win that they had. Watford, having drawn their last 2 games, I think are a little bit due to return to the form that they had, like, say, a month ago. So I think I'm going to go with Watford in this one. And Palace are just so inconsistent.
Mm-hmm. I think I'm going to go with Palace on this one. I think they can take advantage of a team like this that kind of attacks in the middle. And if they can, I mean, unless De Feo can stretch this team out, which I don't think is going to happen, I think Crystal Palace is going to probably win like 2-1 in this.
Okay.
Unfortunately, the one football app agrees with me and not with you. 49% going to Watford, 11 to a draw, 40 going to Crystal Palace. Let us move on to King Power Stadium, where 7 meets 18. Leicester City, Southampton. Who you got?
I'm going to go with a draw in this game. You had asked me earlier about Leicester breaking down the bottom teams and how they've kind of been unable to do that for the most part this season. I know this is a home game for them, but Southampton coming off their draw with Chelsea, definitely going to raise spirits for them. And this is 3 points that they need to get themselves out of relegation zone. And Leicester are getting to the point now where, they're up in, I think, 7th.
Yeah.
So, the reality is that unless they're going to try to make a push for Europa League, like, their season's over.
Yeah.
They would have to lose, like, the rest of their games for the rest of the year to be relegated, probably. And so I think that might start to kind of creep into their results a little bit, where, like, they're almost already, we are barely in January, but, like, they're basically out of things to play for.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to go for a draw.
I'm going to go with Southampton with what you just said right now. Southampton has something they play for in this game. Also, when we've seen throughout the season when Leicester is going to possess the ball more in this game probably, but I think Southampton has the ability and quality to score on a side like this with that kind of lost possession. But unfortunately, the One Football app does not agree with me. Does not agree with you. It's 79 going to Leicester, 7 to a draw, 14 going to Southampton. Next, we all have 4 versus 15. Chelsea versus Newcastle at Stamford Bridge. Who you got?
I'm going to go with Chelsea, although the way that they have been playing, just the 1-0 for their last win, and then 0-0 with Southampton the week before. It just hasn't been clicking for them the last couple match days. Newcastle obviously need the points, but I don't think they're going to be able to push Chelsea at home to get a result there. So I'm going to go with Chelsea. And Chelsea need to really start being wary of Arsenal and United behind them because, I think Arsenal's only within a couple points of Chelsea falling out of the top 4. I can look at the
44 versus 41.
Okay, so they're just like the one game. So say Arsenal plays, I think, before this. So if Arsenal wins this game, the pressure will really be on because I guess they'll stay 4th on goal difference probably, but they'll be level on points. So they need all the points they can get to just kind of make it a comfortable finish to the season up in the top 4. Yeah. That or there are 2 outcomes, like Chelsea fall apart and they fall out and they focus on Europa League as their path to the Champions League next year. Or they really need to get all the points they can against these bottom teams to help keep a little bit of a buffer between themselves and Arsenal and United below them.
Well, I think what we're going to see is similar to what Southampton did last week. And I think Newcastle has the ability of doing that again. Dubravka has a good game in him, probably. Right? Their goalkeeper is Dubravka?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's not I'm always thinking of Fulham's Fabrizio, Fabricio, whatever.
Fabricio, yeah.
I'm going to go with a draw. So I think it's going to be another 0-0 draw where Chelsea cannot figure out, unless if Olivier Giroud comes in. But I don't think they're going to figure anything out like they did last week. So I think they're going to have double draws. But One Full Out does not agree with me, unfortunately. 86 going to Chelsea, 3 to a draw, 11 going to Newcastle. All right. We got, 3 more games left?
Yep.
Here we go. We got Everton versus Bournemouth at Goodison Park, 11 versus 12. Who you got?
I actually think I'm leaning towards Bournemouth. They obviously had the big loss to United, but the 3-3 draw with Watford the week before, the last game, the previous game, they're definitely capable of scoring goals, and I think now is a good time for them to be playing Everton. Everton have been more wasteful than normal, especially last week with the 17 shots, 2 on target against Leicester. So now's a good time for Bournemouth to be playing Everton. They definitely have the ability to break them down, especially on the counter-attack, so it's going to benefit them, Everton being at home. Going to be probably a little bit more aggressive, considering their last few results. So I'm going to lean Bournemouth in this game.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go with the draw again.
Dang.
Just because I think it's going to be like a 2-2. I think both teams are going to be able to score in this game. Yeah, because I mean, Francis is out now for Bournemouth for the year. So
I didn't know that. Okay.
I know they bought in Solanke, but I don't think he's going to make an impact immediately. I think Everton's going to create a lot of chances where they're not going to be able to finish, but they're going to get 2 goals out of this. So, one full bap does not agree with either of us. 75 going to Everton, 8 to a draw, 17 going to Bournemouth. Alrighty, sir. Is this game of the week?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. We got Tottenham Hotspur versus Manchester United at Wembley Stadium, 3 versus 6. A top 6 matchup. Who you got, Jacob?
You've been waiting a long time to say that, haven't you? A top 6 matchup.
I think we were 6th, and then we dropped out because I think Wolves and someone else was occupying that for a little bit.
Watford was up there early too.
Yeah, we dropped down to like 8.
Yeah.
So
You guys were like down to 10th at one point.
we were like 8.
Okay. I'm going to go for a draw only because Spurs are once again not, although they are coming off that big 7-0 against Tranmere in the FA Cup today, not playing great. If I could actually get back to the game, that would be fantastic here on my phone. Oh, wait, it's on Sunday. Good grief, I keep typing table. The loss to Wolves, obviously, 2 match days ago now. And then they had the 3-0 against Huddersfield. Cardiff? Okay. I'm going to go for a draw. I think this is going to be... I don't know that I think this is going to be. I hope this is going to be somewhat of a reality check for Manchester United. This is going to be this is their first test. So we'll see how it goes against like a real team. You guys did play Bournemouth. They were in 7th at the time, but not the same level as Spurs. Up in 3rd, and I'm going to go for a draw.
I'm going to go with United in this. Just like you said, this is the best time to play Spurs at the moment. They did play a lot of their first team players today, but I don't think if that might matter. Maybe not. This is a Sunday game, so they'll probably have enough rest. But regardless, I think it's going to be Ole Gunnar Solskjaer.
You guys play though before, probably tomorrow.
We play tomorrow. Yeah, but we're not going to play as many. We're not going to. I think he's going to give a lot of academy players debuts tomorrow.
Yeah, you guys have a home game against Reading tomorrow.
Yeah, but I think we're going to play a lot more of our bench.
Right, we will see.
But yeah, regardless, I think this is going to be his first test. We're going to see if he is a quality manager in these type of games that are probably somewhat the most important, because the style of play we've obviously seen is good enough to beat mid-table to lower-end teams, but now are we going to see it translate to the top 6? And yeah, like I said, best time to play them.
Spurs have a their recent history is poor against the rest of the top six as well. So that's kind of been like their Achilles heel
But
this whole time.
They did whack us 3-0 last time, so we shall see. We shall see. So United leads with 55% going to them, 7 to a draw, 38 going to Spurs.
No comment. There's more United fans than there are Spurs fans. That's the only reason. I'm like, oh, United! All they gonna look at United. They're back.
You know how many Spurs fans there are? As many as they could fit in that stadium.
Dang.
Get that done. Here we go. We got Manchester United versus Wolves at the Etihad.
How about Manchester City?
Oh my Jesus, Manchester City. Jeez, I'm sorry because
Manchester United played twice this week. Yeah, that's how they get. That's how they get Champions League. Twice the games.
Yeah. We got 2 versus 9. Jacob, who you got?
Obviously, I'm going to go with City, but this has the potential to be a bogey game.
And also a hangover.
I mean, I feel like we'd be in like a good mood from the Liverpool game.
Yeah.
But maybe like a little bit too comfortable now, if that's what you're going for.
Yeah.
And Wolves take points from the top 6. That's like a reality that we're in now. I think they drew
against United.
They drew United. They drew Arsenal. They drew us.
They beat Spurs.
They beat Spurs and should have beat Spurs twice.
Mm-hmm. They drew the Spurs again.
They beat Chelsea.
They beat Chelsea.
So like, these are the games they live
They're
for.
Like they only want to play top 6. That's it.
I mean, the reality is that the majority of their like
Palace.
half their points this year are against the top 6.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go with City, but this, like I said, this game has the potential to be a problem because Wolves have literally a track record of beating top 6 or like getting results anyway against top 6 teams.
I agree, but I don't think it's gonna be that big. I think Pep was a bit surprised probably against Wolves the first time, maybe.
Well, I would say that and like 2 absurd saves from Rui Patricio.
So I don't think you're gonna still get that same kind of result. I think you're gonna probably win this game like 3-1.
When was the last time we kept a clean sheet? I can't even remember. We gave up a goal against Watford. We gave up a goal against Southampton. We gave up obviously a goal against Liverpool. We lost to Palace and Leicester. Like, I don't know what the deal is.
I don't know either. But the one fullback does agree with us, so that's all that matters. 72 going to City, 5 to a draw, 23 going to Wolves. Do you want to look at the table real quick?
Sure. Yeah, go for it. I'll take a quick look at the other leagues. I do think most of them are on break, though.
No, I think La Liga's back.
Oh, okay.
I believe. When I looked at it. I think they start playing games tomorrow.
League is playing.
Don't care about League. Liga's over.
Yeah, the Bundesliga is off until the 18th. Serie A is off until the 19th. And there are La Liga games. So let me take a quick gander through these. Go ahead and read off the table if you want to.
So we got Liverpool in first, City in second, Tottenham in third, Chelsea in fourth, Arsenal in fifth, Manchester United in sixth, Leicester City in seventh, Watford in eighth, Wolves in ninth, West Ham in 10th, Everton in 11th, Bournemouth in 12th, Brighton in 13th, Crystal Palace in 14th, Newcastle in 15th, Burnley in 16th, Cardiff City in 17th, Southampton in 18th, Fulham 19th, and then the bottom of the table, Huddersfield Town.
So Southampton, Fulham, and Huddersfield.
Yes, they need 2 points at the moment if the Newcastle, Burnley, and Cardiff hold results or don't score any points, basically. Even if they draw, they would need to score. They would need to get 3 to get out for Southampton. It won't be possible for Fulham, but they will be closer to getting into the edge of that.
Okay. Sunday the 6th, which is this weekend, there is Sevilla versus Atletico Madrid, which is second versus third in La Liga. That's probably the only really big game. Barcelona is playing Getafe, who are actually in seventh, I guess, but still not as big a game as Sevilla Atleti. So that's probably the only other big game. The rest of the big leagues are either the French league, which there are no big games anymore because PSG ran away with that, and then Bundesliga and Serie A are both off until the following weekend. So there you go. Actually, I take that back. They're off until 2 weekends from now.
Okay.
Because even these games that we just hit for Premier League are not this weekend; they're next weekend.
Okay.
Because the FA Cup is this weekend.
This is true. Yeah. Obviously, we've talked about United being 2 points behind Arsenal, 5 points away from. Oh wait, no, more than 5. 6. Sorry, from Chelsea. And then Leicester City is 31 points. So that's kind
So
of like
top 6 is basically done.
yeah, in a way,
Yeah.
probably, most likely. And yeah, Tottenham 48, City with 50. So Tottenham's definitely right behind. If anything, they've definitely enjoyed the result this weekend because who knows, anything can happen. And then obviously Liverpool at 54.
Yeah. I think that I think Leicester and whoever's right behind them, probably like Watford or something like that, are probably going to be watching how Chelsea progress in the Europa League carefully. Because if I remember correctly, they will get the 7th place team will get in if Chelsea win the Europa League. Because that spot will go to the Champions League, and we'll still get 2 Europa League spots, which will be 6 and 7 instead of 5 and 6. So that could be the only thing that keeps those teams interested as like the season kind of progresses. Because like otherwise, if Chelsea don't win the Europa League, then Leicester are out of like Europe, or like the 7th place team are out of Europe. So
Yeah, it's gonna depend. It's gonna be interesting. But yeah, that has been it, ladies and gentlemen. That's been Across the Pond. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing and liking us on the College Avenue channel, also on SoundCloud, iTunes Podcast, and Google Play. Listening to us, thank you guys also for listening and watching. Yeah, like I said, the likes, the hearts, and the 5-star reviews helps us out, gets us the podcast out to more people. So we would appreciate if you could do that, and also continue listening. And yeah, so I have been the host, Richard Berdillo, joined by the man with the noggin. We shall see you guys in the next edition of Across the Pond. Bye.
goodbye.